Hello and welcome to lesson 2 of module 3, where we talk about video creation. In this lesson, with lesson 2, I'll be going over some basic recording skills that I want you to have before you press that red record button in Camtasia. These are things that will help you make high quality flip video notes for your students, but also help you cut down on the time it takes to edit and produce those videos. These are important skills to have from the start, ones that I didn't have in my first go-round of creating flip videos. So my hope is that you see the big advantage these skills will give you. And here's what we're going to learn in this lesson: the importance of consistency and where those areas are that you should really be intentional with your consistency. We'll talk about the 3 P's of recording flip videos. That's practice, pause, and personality. And then finally, relying on that countdown. What countdown and what the heck do you mean? So let's go ahead and get to it. Here is the visual again of the overall video creation process. We covered creating our slides. Now let's focus on the recording aspect. Take a minute to think of your lecture when given in class. What it looked like on a continual basis. There were probably quite a few things that you did consistently because that's what we humans do. We get into a routine, we like what's familiar, and we stick with it. That provides a huge advantage for your students because they're human too. They like that routine and what's familiar, so much so that the context of you, your classroom, and your lecture gives them an advantage on test performance. Context affects people, that's it. What I want us to do, and why I've incorporated it into this lesson, is that I want us to be more intentional with what we already do so naturally. I want you to establish what it is you consistently do, rather than just finding it in your routine as you go about teaching. Here are some things I want you to be consistent with. I want you to be consistent in what you say, meaning I want you to sign on with and what you sign off with to be the same. Think of your favorite news anchor or talk or radio show host or even sports announcer. Any professional like that has a certain way they sign off. You could probably recite Al Roker's sign off. Here's what's happening in your neck of the woods. Another one of my favorites from my childhood was the Cincinnati Reds baseball announcer, Marty Brenneman's, and this one belongs to the Reds. I can still hear it if I close my eyes and picture my childhood home on a summer evening. So here's what I want you to do. Have an intro to your slides like, "Hey there, Mrs. Rice here, and today we're learning about XYZ. Be sure to have your notes, turn off all distractions, and let's do this." Another one could be, "Hey there, Mrs. Rice here, and today we're learning about XYZ. If you're one of my students, be sure you are watching this on insert formative assessment tool like Play Pause It, and let's do this." You'll also want to determine one for how you sign off. You may have this one already halfway planned based off of our last lesson about your slides and how you effectively close those. Think about what it is that you want students to do when they finish the video every single time. Another one could be something more of an endearing trademark, like the news anchors or sports announcer ones. The way you sign on is a good way to set your students up for success on that set of notes. But the way you close or the way you sign off is a good way to infuse more of your personality in your video. So have fun with it and make it consistent. I'll say it again here, but context effects are huge and have more impact on all of us than you might think. So let's be intentional here in what they see. I want to recommend some ways that you can be consistent with what your students see in your videos. One of these you probably already do, all of them being rather obvious, but it's something you want to be consistent with throughout all of your videos, and that's where it becomes tricky to remember. Do things like embolden vocab terms, but then say and repeat their definition rather than only having it on the slide, of course, depending on your age level. When using graphs and images, put them in the same spot every time, especially if joined with text, either on the right or the left. That just helps students to focus their attention rather than having to refocus each time. And where you put yourself. So pick a spot for those images and graphs, and then pick a spot for you. You won't position your webcam recording until you are editing, but you'll want to keep it in mind when you make your slides. So maybe I should have put this in the last lesson so that you know not to include any text or important images in that part of your slides. I somehow always seem to claim the bottom right of my slides in AP Psych, but maybe moving it to the top right because that's generally where less content is placed in slides. It's totally up to you, but you want to be cognizant of it now. All right, let's talk about the 3 P's of recording flipped video notes. Those P's are practice, pause, and personality. Let me tell you why each one of these are words I want you to memorize and rely on throughout your flipped video recording career. The first one is practice. This one's pretty straightforward. Practice your quote lectures or your videos. But here's the thing, if you've taught this lesson before, you have practiced. But you just need to sit down in front of the camera and do it. Think of your ASA again, your average student avatar. What do they need from you in order to both do these notes well and to become a well-rounded note taker? Picture them as you are recording. You could even print a picture of a particular student and tape it right next to your webcam. But now that I think about it, that seems kind of creepy. But it's not, because you know what? You're doing it for the right reasons. So just go with it if it's something that helps you focus and bring it when you go to record. The second one is pause. This is one that I will reference again, but for a different reason. But know that this word is probably one of the most used and most important words of my flipped classroom, and there's 2 ways I use it. One is for them, for your students, and one is for you. So this P, this pause, is how you can use it. I often tell students how much power there is in being able to pause your teacher, but we'll talk more about that later. But you too have power in pausing, just a different kind. Guess what? You're going to mess up quite a bit. I've been flipping for almost 10 years and I still mess up once per video. When, not if that happens, I want you to stop. Be silent for a good 5 to 10 seconds and make sure you count to yourself 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 silently in your head, or else you'll get excited and just move right past it thinking you paused long enough. Man, I've done that way too many times. Then start back at the most recent break you had, meaning the most recent started sentence. So let's say that I mess up, mess up. I'm going to count to myself. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And then I'm going to start that sentence again where I should have said it correctly the first time. And then it's easy to see, right? That pause will be very visible in Camtasia when you go to edit your video. So you'll know to go straight there, find the beginning of the sentence, cut it out, and it's like you never messed up at all. That's going to save you a ton of time when you go to edit out your mess ups. Now, the third one is rather simple, and that's a good thing. I want you to rely on that simplicity and get comfortable with it. Let your personality shine through. Find that fine balance of getting to business and having fun in your flip videos, just like you do when you lecture in class. Don't worry too much about mess ups because small ones happen and you can just roll with it because it gives the video a more authentic and natural feel. You don't have to edit out every single or every little small pause. Too fancy or professional can be rather off-putting for students, as if the video isn't meant for them. As part of personality, I want to mention eye contact. I mention it here because it's a way to connect with your students, and it helps to have placed the picture of your ASA by your web camera. You'll likely be looking at your slides quite often when recording, which is fine because you would be you would be doing the same in the classroom as well. But when you are speaking not directly from the slide, I want you to look at the web camera on your computer, which means you're making eye contact with your students. It's helpful in students making a connection with you, and also, and maybe more importantly, helps them see that what you are saying is important and not just simply on the slide. Let's talk really quickly about that moment in movie production when they say lights, camera, action, and they snap the little board thing. This is the moment where everyone on the set gets ready for the camera to be on. Well, duh, of course it does. That's seriously, duh. But here's the thing. I can't tell you how many times I've started a video and just started talking without really getting ready. So what I mean is that I knew what I was going to say and I didn't mess up that, but I wasn't ready for the action piece, for the camera piece. I was looking down or messing with my hair or itching a scratch on my head. Or maybe I had just finished writing a parent email. Then I went to record and had that same facial expression. Oh boy, that's no good. So take advantage of the 3, 2, 1 countdown that Camtasia provides you with. It's like it's your very own lights, camera, action. And here's what I want you to do with it. Sit still, look at the web camera, maybe even lean in a little, and smile. It doesn't have to be a huge lean in making your face gigantic. Just have a positive, invested body language. And I don't mean have every tooth in your mouth showing smile. I just mean genuine, positive, even if that's a no teeth, but upbeat looking face. There are so many videos of mine that I look back on and I see that I could have used this reminder to just smile, think of something funny, and be ready for the action part. I'll also mention here that the very beginning and very end of your video are super easy to clip out. So if you don't take advantage of that 3, 2, 1 countdown, just use the first even 10 to 30 seconds to kind of get yourself ready to go live on camera. The last piece I want to leave you with is this. I recommend going through this entire process of preparing the slides, recording the slides, your video, and then editing one video so you get the feel of the flow and things you can improve upon in your recording to make editing a bit easier. Then, once you've done it all once, batch, record, and edit. That is, sit down for as long of a time stretch as you can, make available for yourself. You can split it in half spent recording, half spent editing, and record as much as you possibly can before your quality of content delivery suffers. Then, in the second half of the time slot, edit the videos. You want to edit soon after recording so that your memory of the recording is fresh in your mind. That way, you don't have to watch every second of the video. You can go to the points where you messed up, fix them, and publish. Bam! It's as quick as that. And that's it for lesson 2. So in this lesson, we talked about the importance and where you can remain consistent in your recordings. We talked about the 3 P's of recording with practice, pause, and personality. And then we also talked about relying on that countdown and really preparing yourself for lights, camera, action. Your action items for this lesson include being intentional with your consistency. What sign-on will you have? And come up with a trademark sign-off as well. You may not keep the same one that you start with, but that's okay. You'll find one as you're making your videos and just use it once you find it. Then I want you to practice. Now, you may be feeling uber confident and just go with it because you've taught this course before. I would still encourage you to practice your start, a little in the middle of your slides, and then your closing or sign-off before pushing record. Just once. Practice just once and then push record. I bet you'll find something you need to tweak, or even if it's just taking a deep breath and smiling before you start. But you'll find that out if you practice. Remember to be ready for the action part of lights, camera, action. Rely on that countdown from Camtasia. Take a deep breath, think of something funny, lean in a little, and go with it. Record and edit your first video, then record all of your videos from the first unit, then edit those. There's a lot more to talk about in the next lesson where we get into editing. So make sure that once you finish this video, you take the time to record your first video. Then go to the next lesson to learn all about editing. So click next and I'll see you there.